interim chief Ilias indicated that it would probably amount to about $960 worth of overtime for the additional traffic and crowd control that we needed. Keep in mind that in Community Day, we have help from other police departments, so this would be totally on our own to handle that. If the crowds are anything like what they are for Community Day, so now again, it's only an estimate. Same token, Public Works Director Dan Gilbert indicated there's not a whole lot of work on Public Works' part for overtime, but it's mainly barricades and signs. It'd be about another $336. So I relayed that to the fire company president. He indicated that they would be willing to pick up that cost. Now, I would make it clear, we didn't ask for that. I didn't ask. I simply gave him the number, and I said we would want to make sure that the extra revenue that you gain by having fireworks and additional patrons is worth it. Response back to us, they do think it is. I'm going to stop at that point. John, I think you want to spot. I'm reading anything out or anything else you want to consider.
No, John Anakin, I'm Vice President. Sorry. John Anakin, I'm Vice President of Perkasie Fire Company. This is something that our Carnival company provider proposed to us. So we don't really know what's going to happen. It's they haven't done it before. This is something they're trying to bring to the Carnival. That Friday and Saturday nights tend to be slow, so they're trying to draw in a crowd. So basically, they came to us and said, "Look, if we pay the tab for the fireworks, would you guys be interested in letting us do a small fireworks display?" This is nothing like a community event, fireworks event. It's a much smaller display. As far as we obviously approached Dan about the added cost of the borough, the fire companies agreed to pay the $1,300, and it's really an experiment. The hope is that we're going to bring in enough extra people to generate enough revenue to cover our costs, as well as the Carnival providers, hoping he's going to break even. So if it works, we probably won't try to do the same thing next year. If it doesn't work, it's not a big expense on our part.
Is it working for the other companies in the area?
They haven't. This company hasn't done this before.
But I mean the other fire companies, I guess.
Kind of different. Dublin is Dublin does it, but they're much bigger. They have a large grounds. They control their parking. They control a lot more of their event. Whereas we're resident in the park system, smaller Carnival. So it's different. I presume it works for them. They do it year after year. But this is kind of a little bit different scale than what they do.
John, is the fireworks element in Dublin the same thing that they're talking about here?
The company that's doing this is a different provider of the fireworks. This company does fireworks at small events. Just by comparison, the community day event uses up to 6 or 7 inch shells. This is more like 3-inch shells. It's a much lower event, a much smaller display. It's only about a 15-minute display. Just a much smaller overall fireworks show. Kind of more what we run into if we were out further out in the country at a fireworks display.
One question I have is who's paying for the additional liability insurance? Is it the Carnival people or is it the fire?
I believe it's the fireworks provider. Something else I believe we'll get.
When is the Carnival?
Yeah, I know it's the end of June and the beginning of July.
So if you could check on that liability issue, and then if we were to take another look at this in the beginning of May, is that enough time for you to get your advertising in?
That should be fine. Yeah.
So our next meeting is May 6th. So we'll get it on the agenda. We'll get any loose ends tied up. We can make a decision that evening. Does that work for you?
That should work fine.
Great.
I have one more question.
If I can finish this for a second.
Sorry.
I think our, we certainly want to do what we can to support your organization. We appreciate the volunteers. We appreciate what the men and women do there. I think we just want to make sure we're covered on the overtime side as well as the liability side, and have a discussion about it and about all the data, make a decision that night.
the same way we get requests all the time.
I can certainly send out letters
That might help out a little bit.
and ask for their cooperation for some additional projects.
Wait till we know what we're doing, but that might be a good idea.
Okay.
Thanks, Charles.
Matt, can this approval be conditioned upon liability insurance? Is that being an issue that we have?
I'm not familiar with another issue that was raised this evening, so I think the big question is just on the liability insurance side.
Do you have,
What's happening in the park? And I'm sure Dan, Mr. Skippington, who runs Community Day, I'm sure there's a few different resources. Just make sure that we, as owners of the park, have limited exposure.
okay, I guess the one question I have is, do you have guidelines for what you are required? What do you
You mean how much?
Yeah.
Well,
$1 million general liability is so we can check that there should be something in our borough's general liability policy. And I can take care of that.
Actually, I think if you do what Mr. Purcell's proposed there, hoping he's proposing there, if you could approve this conditionally on us providing liability insurance, that would probably be helpful because it would let us get moving a little bit earlier. If that works with you, if not, we can wait till May. It just, I kind of got this handed to me this afternoon. Can you make it and cover it? So I didn't get a whole lot of the background.
I apologize.
well, I can make that motion if you want. We'll give the fire company additional approval, conditioning on requiring liability insurance.
In a second, I'll second that.
Barbara seconded, a motion's been made and seconded. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Okay, thank you very
So
much.
please just work with Dan, make sure we've got numbers right, make sure we've got insurance. Thanks, John. Council, just briefly, the only other item I have for other new business this evening is we were contacted by the chairman of the Bucks County Commissioners, Commissioner Lockerty, and he would like to attend a future meeting and assist in running the meeting. So it's a good opportunity, certainly seen. His goal is to be at all the municipalities in the county. We certainly want to take part in this. So I'm going to ask Dan to contact Commissioner Lockerty's assistant and schedule for an upcoming meeting. So without objection, we'll move forward on that. I don't have anything further. Let's figure out what works for the schedule. I think a committee meeting he may find a bit more interesting. Certainly, if it has to be a voting meeting, let's just get them out. Let's get them out soon. The other item is Mr. Stiles. Can we make sure we talk to Dan Gilbert, get something on the agenda for the May meeting, just to address
One of the issues regarding this is, of course, we mentioned this last meeting. If we do this and when we do this, council, of course, it has to agree to this. Putting different trees in Mr. Stiles' situation, if we take out that tree, we have to put something else in. And or we, council, then take responsibility for doing that. My personal opinion is, and I'm not speaking for council on this, we should do that because we made them, or we put those trees in. Now the trees are uprooting the sidewalks, just like the bricks were put in, and many of us in town objected to the bricks. They were put in anyway. Now council's got the responsibility of fixing them anyway. This is another situation like that. The trees are uprooting the sidewalks. If we take out a tree, we need to have the tree to put back in. And Dan is working on a list of trees to put back in. In other words, we're not going to put the same tree in again. And they're not all going to be the same tree, even if we have a different opinion as to what trees we should put in.
Dan,
Go ahead.
do you think by the next meeting, at the committee's meeting in May, we can discuss locations, how many trees, and your proposed solution to prevent more of the sidewalks from upheaval?
I believe I can get something together by then, yes. I'm in the process now of trying to get a list of appropriate trees to put in. And some of them were
should be able to do that, yes.
Is that the plan and council?
One of the ideas that we had, and I just called in again, it's council's decision, is to replace one or two as they become a problem, instead of trying to replace the whole town center. That's very expensive. Right now, we have one or two places where the trees are overgrowing the sidewalk. We would need to address that immediately. Now, we don't have any money in the budget for this year, but for next year, we have to budget something. So maybe we can take care of that tree, you know, at the train station, and there's another place in town that needs it also. Dan's been working on a list of trees, which I think is a great idea. Something that doesn't drop berries.
Yes.
We have roots.
Yeah,
Right.
well, trees have roots.
You can't have both.
Just one suggestion. Since we already have one or two trees that are uplifting the sidewalks, can we try the shaving off of the roots just to see if it works and if the tree survives? Just as an experiment until we have to replace those trees.
We could try that, but I think what's going to happen is the sidewalk is already heaved.
Right. Well, these trees will have to be replaced. No doubt.
Right. I think
Just as an
doing
experiment.
that, in my opinion, we would be throwing good money after bad.
Well, how much would it cost to take a saw and saw off the root here?
Well, it would take some, you have to excavate to find the roots.
Oh.
Okay, then you have to dig those roots out. You have to pull the slab up anyway because it's already up, it's already raised the sidewalk. So you would have to, just by cutting the root, isn't going to solve that problem. The sidewalk has already been raised.
I just thought it would be a situation where you're going to have to replace the tree, but until then, you could try different methods to correct the tree so it doesn't.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, we could try that on one or two areas and see if it does work. But I think in long term, it's still going to have to come out. The trees are just getting too big for the area that they're planted in.
Thank you, Dan.
I have a suggestion. I've had a couple of my trees sold down to the ground, and then they put some mojo on it, I don't know what it is, and they put it on that root, and it eradicates it. It's not growing anymore, it's not,
Right, well, the problem with that is if we want to replace the tree, we have to get that root ball out. So,
we replace it like about a foot down or 2 feet down.
in some areas we could, but where the tree grates are in the sidewalk, we have to put it back in that same area.
We put artificial concrete.
That was suggested in some discussions, just putting artificial trees throughout that.
One question I have for council right now tonight is, are we willing, or can we fix that sidewalk before the old town day, whatever that,
That's the man who gets one ass man.
Well, no, he's got to get direction from us, and then he'll tell us yes or no.
He's got to track.
We made that decision on April the 6th of the year, or from Dan, maybe talk about that.
This is-
which ones are the priorities, but I agree.
Yeah, I'm just saying this one place because of the old town day.
I
It's
don't
going to be
know,
like.
I don't know what we'd be agreeing with tonight, so, but I mean, certainly, I would think keep those high traffic areas for both that day and just general.
One thing we have to keep in mind, if we're talking about having it done by Spring Fest, which I believe the date is May 18th. I think that's what it is. If we wait until the May meeting, that may not give us enough time to get that slab poured out, get the tree out.
That's why I'm asking for permission tonight from council.
Maybe a place to start. That's probably the most prevalent problem area at this point. And it is right in the midst of the Spring Fest area.
How much is it going to cost to do that?
Taking the tree out will take us a couple hours of labor. For instance, if things go well, we may actually be able to lift that slab up, and once we get the root out, let's put it back in again. I can't guarantee that. I would say probably $200 to put a new sidewalk in there.
So how about a motion not to exceed X amount?
I'll make a motion not to exceed
I have to check the person concrete, lately, how much?
1,000.
Yeah.
Sidewalk.
And remove the tree.
Remove the tree, yeah.
Yeah, well, the tree would just be our labor cost.
So you got a location, Dan? Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Another thing I'd like to bring up is, people may have noticed that there's leaf collection for this week. It's going to continue for the rest of the week, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Jim.
So I have
Just one quick question.
Do you have a lot of problem with people bringing leaves in from outside? Have you noticed that?
You know, garbage collection day,
Yeah, collection, or before collection.
it's hard to tell if they're coming from outside the community. We probably had this past week, we probably had, we might have 500 trips in there. It's difficult to stop everybody and ask them where they're from, or else the line would be to your house. So we just have to let them come in. We just don't have the manpower to stop everybody and ask for a state. We do get some people coming in after hours, or you know, we don't have anybody there. And pick up last Saturday, I came into work this morning and there was bags down back that was dropped off at different places.
Okay.
But it's hard to tell if they're coming in from outside or inside. Our guys are pretty good with knowing, you know, seeing people and knowing that they are residents. So they are aware of it. That if they see something out of the ordinary, they will ask.
Okay.
So that's been going on lately.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council, anything else this evening or other new business? Hearing none, we'll go to our second public forum. If you'd like to come up, make sure you state your name and address. The same rules as the first time still apply. Thank you.
Susan Green, 624 East Walnut Street. I did notice that on the speed limit sign, the electronic box is there. So I'm really hoping that that does something with the speeding on that street. So if you could let me know how that's going, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Anyone else this evening?
Yeah, Andrew Rumbold, South 8th Street again. Can you just confirm, was that, I applaud the fact that we did pass the Second Amendment resolution. Is that actually what the resolution is titled? Because I heard...
The title is Resolution 2013-11, reaffirming our oath to protect in their entirety the U.S. Constitution and Pennsylvania State Constitution, including the Second Amendment.
Okay, all right, because I heard probably more references to the First Amendment than the Second Amendment in there.
There are two references to the Second Amendment and one reference to the First.
Okay. Was that drafted by our solicitor?
No, and I'm breaking my own rules this evening, Council. My apologies.
It's okay, I don't mind.
To a dialogue, but it was very sneaky. Thank
No,
you.
I'm asking questions, man. Was that resolution, I mean...
I will make one last statement, Council, breaking my own rule. We really can't have dialogue, because if we have one, then we should have everyone. So it's just easier not to have any. We have our constituent outreach meeting, and we're always available by telephone or direct email.
Right, I would love to see at the next community outreach meeting. Was that, can you just nod your head, was that resolution drafted by the solicitor? 100% transparency. One other question, comment I had was on the other comment in public forum about the drug problem, because I understand there was another overdose last week. 6 or 8 months ago, there was an overdose, a fatality 2 blocks down from here. We have a quality of life committee that we haven't had any report on. I mean, is the council committed to doing something about this? Or is this something that we're just going to push under the carpet and continually ignore? Because I think it is a big problem, and I think there should be some resources put at it. So, thank you.
Anyone else this evening? Luke?
Luke Trent, Falls Gate, 270 Parker's Drive, Perkasie. I have here a copy of your rules regulation for trash and recycling. I had highlighted the things about recycling, that no plastic bags. Week after week, year after year, I see people putting out recyclables in plastic bags, and they're picked up. They're supposed to be in containers with holes drilled near the bottom. Not the bottom itself, because then everything drains out all over, either in your house or out there. I had mine done all properly, was commented on already too by the public works guy too. Mine's the only one that didn't have water on or anything. Well, of course, I know how to do things right, and I know how to follow the rules. It goes to show how this council is always double standard. We went over this trash stuff a couple of times in the last few years, and you don't even follow your own rules. It's not anything that I am blaming or you can blame on the guys in the trucks or even the public works director. The rules and enforcement come down from leadership. This is the kind of leadership we have. The kind that will cut someone else off, and they're speaking, but break their own rules, as you even say yourself. Half the night this thing was on, more than half the night. Last week was on all through the meeting, I mentioned that before. Last meeting, you also had dialogue. Tonight you had dialogue. You also went over the minutes and everything. You certainly do discriminate. And it's about time some citizen goes to the district attorney about that you want to cut free speech and our constitutional rights from some other people. So you decide on this here stuff, what it's going to be. Either follow the rules there, or you're going to change it so everybody can do it. I'm getting tired of windy days, and it gets windy up there. About getting everybody else's trash when I get up at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning to be out there to put mine out, when on trash day, I'm on the beginning of the route. On recycle days, there's someone else ahead of us, but I'm still out there on time, because the rules say 7 o'clock, but I'm watching them so they're not blowing around. I am half crippled, can't go running around the yard and everything, picking up somebody else's trash that you let happen. So that's the way I feel about things, and I'm coming out with everything week after week, with everything for the election season. And this is the way you want to treat some people, because I'm hard of hearing. I'm going to be the one putting up my hand, coming up to the mic, instead of you trying to make fun of my hearing, cutting me off. Thank you. And I'm going to be turning this off, because I do things right. I'm not some uneducated fool.
Anyone else this evening? Luther, that was 3 minutes and 2 seconds. Spot on. Anything from the press this evening? Hearing none. We will not have executive session this evening. This meeting is adjourned.